Welcome back. We're looking at Dubai's debt crisis and examining how the Emirate can avert further economic turmoil. Discussing the issues are Tariq Youssef, the Dean of Dubai School of Government, who joins us from there, Jim Crane, a journalist and author of the new book City of Gold, Dubai and the Dream of Capitalism, who's with us from Cambridge in the UK, and Howard Wilden, a senior strategist with BGC Partners in London. Let's get back to our discussion with Dr. Youssef in Dubai. What is being done in terms of reforming the laws, in terms of changing what's there on the ground, in terms of legal regulations, in order to address what's happened and to stop it happening again?
There has been, or in the last 24 hours, we saw the introduction of what resembles a Chapter 11 framework for restructuring and bankruptcy. It's a framework that is specifically aimed at helping Dubai World, and perhaps by extension other government entities, to restructure in an orderly fashion, in a fashion that allows them to protect their assets, allows them to negotiate with creditors, and gives them time to protect the essential, important, recoverable and salvageable parts of their business. That is international practice. The fact that the government of Dubai chose to institute this mechanism in the Dubai International Financial Center, where an international benchmark of standards is present, with UK judges and international judges supervising the proceedings, I think ought to give a lot of confidence on the transparency and the accountability of the process moving forward. Dubai is a model of economic development with capitalism at the heart of it. You can't go through booms and busts without having an orderly way to work out problems. So a Chapter 11 mechanism, an orderly restructuring, some court protections for companies is needed. It was needed a year ago. It's good that it's finally being done. I think moving forward, this in fact provides a lot of transparency on what we should expect should any other government-backed entities get in trouble, or any other companies get in trouble on account of their exposure to international debts and their obligations to international or even local investors, for that matter.
Let me follow up with a question that came in from a viewer, and I want to put this to Howard Wilden. This came in from Samir El Nasser in Oklahoma in the USA. And it says, I hope Dubai has learned from this crisis that they need to reform their financial practices as soon as possible. And I wonder, listening to what Dr. Tariq Youssef had to say there, Howard, what you think in terms of the moves taken by the government of Dubai to try to to regulate what's going on there in a better way and have more governance, transparency, better governance.
I certainly welcome that, and I agree with the sentiments of my fellow speaker entirely. But I think there is more to be done than just that. We talked a little while ago about the international market aspects and the very poor, I think, understanding that international markets have actually had, and the reason why this crisis in Dubai spread around the world and indeed caused such a dramatic effect. So I think we also, along with what's going on in Western nations in terms of testing the credibility of the rating agencies, which I think have also played a part in Dubai's crisis, but also we have to have a much better understanding of what Dubai, indeed what all Middle East markets are attempting to do. If I look at London, yes, London plays a very big part in what Dubai is doing. It has been a part and parcel of the whole explosion of size of Dubai, and it has benefited from it and participated in it. But I don't think the understanding here of how the system works in Dubai is very good at all. So I would like to see a better, an adjustment really of understanding, a better understanding provided by Dubai, and indeed I think of other emirates as well, as to how the system works or where they want to go, and to bring everybody on side so we can work and move forward together.
Jim Crane, we also had this from a viewer who sent into our Facebook page, Satire May. It says, the bailout package averted a severe financial crisis, but it hasn't eliminated the threat at all. What would you see that threat to be?
Well, the threat for Dubai, I would say, is it's the damage to its financial reputation. I mean, Dubai has big dreams. Its leader has a dream of restoring the Arab world to the greatness that it attained in the 10th century when Cordoba was the capital of learning in Europe and the largest city with the most universities. So he's got huge goals for Dubai, and those goals have been damaged in this crisis. The city's credibility and its goal of becoming the financial hub for a quarter of the globe has been dented here. It's the credibility is damaged. So I think that Dubai really needs to get back on track with the financial community to rebuild the trust. Since these same banks that hold Dubai's debt are the tenants in its financial district, so they're very important to this goal of Dubai. So moving forward, I think the Middle East and those of us outside the Middle East now, Dubai's success is important, I think, for the region. It's really the biggest thing that's happened in the Arab world, the biggest, most positive thing, I should say, in about 700 years, in one way of looking at it. So, it could really help the Arab world get out of the stagnant phase it's been in for so long. Dubai's got a lot of great ideas that can be spread around the world and that other countries are already adopting. So, this it took a hit with this, and let's hope it gets up and dusts itself off and keeps going.
Well, Tariq Youssef, one of the things that Dubai was a big proponent of and helped to sort of promote around the world was the concept of Islamic financing, saying it was a fairer system, it's a more equitable system. And I wonder what kind of dent the Islamic finance image has taken, since a lot of this was tied into, and a lot of the bonds, sukuks, are essentially tied into the Islamic finance system. Do you think it's caused confusion? Do you think it's hurt the concept of Islamic finance?
I think it puts the concept of Islamic finance under a lot of scrutiny. After all, these sukuks, or bond-like instruments, weren't supposed to be risk-free instruments in the way that they've been treated recently. These are not guaranteed instruments. They are backed by assets. These assets can fail, and if these assets fail, these instruments will take a hit. But they've been treated recently because they were proposed and introduced to the international financial system as debt-like instruments. They've been treated as bonds. And that raises fundamental questions about the role of Islamic finance in both providing an alternative or in essentially just mimicking and substituting for Western alternatives for debt financing. I think there will be a debate about the role of sukuks, the reach of these sukuks, and the ability to use sukuks by companies that are building and engaged in risky projects, such as Dubai World's projects. So the world of Islamic finance and the instruments of Islamic finance, I think, have been thrusted into this debate and will come under greater scrutiny, not just by those who use them and deploy them, but I would say increasingly by scholars, right, many of whom have questioned the legitimacy of calling these bonds.
Well, I want to thank you. Unfortunately, we're out of time there, but Tariq Youssef there, Howard Wilden and Jim Crane, thank you very much for taking part in this discussion.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. Remember, you can follow the show on Facebook and see what we're up to there. You can give us feedback on the topics we cover and post your questions and comments. On the next show, who really runs Washington? President Obama was elected more than a year ago, but is his agenda, particularly on Iran, really being driven by the same cast of characters or so-called shadow elite who pushed for war with Iraq? Be sure to tune in for that. From me and the team, we'll see you next time.